Video games are able to transport us to some of fiction's greatest universes, and these are the cream of the crop. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 video game worlds. Are you a fan of this video? Be sure to subscribe to catch our latest show, The Bolt to E3. 4 gamers take an epic road trip from San Fran to LA, gaming all the way. Watch the whole series now on WatchMojo. For this list, we've selected the most well-designed and original worlds that we'd love to visit in our favorite games. This is not to be confused with open world maps, which is a different list that we've already done. But instead, we're looking at the culture, lore, and civilizations that these series have made, showing off the best world building that gaming has to offer.
This ring isn't a cudgel, you barbarian. It's something else. Something much more important.
Number 10, the Wasteland Fallout series.
Spare change, old friend, old pal? Can you help a poor mutant down on his luck?
This version of the United States imagines an alternate reality with much more advanced technology, but one that got culturally stuck in a perpetual 1950s aesthetic. This series was never hesitant to evolve with the changing video game landscape, and since our original list on this topic, Fallout 4 has been released with the most detailed level design to date. Combining the look of a world ravaged by nuclear war with 1950s Americana serves not only as a historical commentary on nuclear fear, but it's an exhaustive world to explore for hours and hours and hours. Just don't forget to take a break once in a while.
Well, let me guess. Just passing through, right? We get people trying to settle down here all the time.
Number 9, The Age of Rock, Brutal Legend.
Awesome party. This party sucks, and it's all your fault. What?
Jack Black voices the protagonist, Eddie, in this underrated gem, which sees him being transported to the Age of Rock after a deadly accident. This world has a highly unique tone that blends comedy with the inhabitants and locales modeled after iconic heavy metal album covers. The world contributes to the tone with every detail, from the evocative imagery to a foreboding sense of danger at every turn. Mixing music with an action game has never been quite this clever, featuring factions like the Headbangers, Roadies, and Groupies. Plus, you really can't beat that soundtrack that plays as you traverse the vast plains. Number 8, Lordran, Dark Souls series.
With the strength of lords, they challenge the dragons.
No other video game world has walked the fine line between disturbing and beautiful quite as well as Hidetaka Miyazaki's Lordran. It's entirely possible, and in fact likely, that the player will miss most of the world's dense lore, but it's worth reading into. Understanding the complexities adds depth to the already rich gaming experience here. Though it may seem like a depressingly dark place, it's actually full of anti-nihilistic sentiment, as the player must battle through grim locations in order to forge meaning out of the foreboding environment. After all, it takes a fair amount of strength of will to continue after the many inevitable deaths that will occur. Number 7, Halo Universe, Halo series.
Halo. It's finished.
No, I think we're just getting started.
Set during the backdrop of an intergalactic war between humanity and alien forces known as the Covenant, more than 500 years in the future, the universe of Halo is one filled with wonder, despair, and plenty of religious allegory. At the center of the conflict are the remains of an ancient intergalactic alien race known as the Forerunners, whose technology lies scattered throughout the galaxy, with their centerpieces being known as the now iconic Halo rings, giant superstructures floating in space with the beautiful ecology of a livable planet, yet housing the destructive power to wipe out all life in the galaxy.
And that's exactly what Halo is designed to do. Wipe the galaxy clean of all sentient life.
Number 6, Gaia, Final Fantasy VII series.
We're paying you more than a few gil. You best be worth it.
Look, I don't care about your politics.
The long-running Final Fantasy series has had no shortage of illustrious, fantastical universes, with Final Fantasy X's Spira also under consideration for this inclusion. The 7th installment was considered a turning point for the franchise and was critically acclaimed for its smooth mix of dystopian and high fantasy settings, all with a pinch of the trademark mirth of the series. Showcasing series' favorite creatures, as well as some fantastic originals, the world is so popular that the game got its own set of spin-off titles and even its own movie, expanding upon the already rich lore that this 7th iteration had to offer.
You just don't get it at all. There's not a thing I don't cherish.
Number 5, Milky Way Galaxy, Mass Effect series.
Welcome to Nosastra, Commander Shepard. We've been instructed to waive all docking and administration fees for your visit.
This one is a bit strange once you think about the fact that it technically exists in the exact same universe as ours, but that doesn't keep it from being out of this world. Sorry, we had to. Despite this, the world building, supported in-game by appendixes that are basically mini encyclopedias, fleshes out a complex lore comprising of dozens of races, many of which pose difficult questions to the player regarding the nature of war and morality in general.
What about Seren? You can't just ignore a rogue Spectre. I demand action!
You don't get to make demands of the Council, Ambassador.
And just like Halo, you also find the remains of ancient civilizations, all of which eventually climax into the arrival of the Reapers and the start of a galactic genocide. So, as intriguing it is, if it were real, we'd probably take a one-way ticket to another galaxy.
We made it.
Number 4, Tamriel, the Elder Scrolls series.
Vigilants are under attack everywhere. The vampires are much more dangerous than we believed.
It's difficult to imagine the very first Elder Scrolls game, Arena, encapsulating the whole of this high fantasy world. Admittedly, it was a bit underwhelming, but what do you expect from an MS-DOS game? Later games restricted the gameplay to smaller areas of the continent, which means that while each game might vary in tone and aesthetic styling, each contributes to the rich tapestry of the lore, fleshes out the immensity found in the setting, and helps to separate Tamriel from the inevitable comparisons to similar high fantasy worlds. Also, large amount of work has been done to ensure that Tamriel has had a varied and exciting history, helping to cement the idea that the place you're in has had people living there for centuries on end.
The College of Winterhold has been a fixture in Skyrim for thousands of years.
Number 3, the Mushroom Kingdom, Mario series.
Here we go!
There's simply no other video game world quite as thoroughly explored as the Mushroom Kingdom, as Mario's franchises consist of literally hundreds of games and counting. Although the world might not be entirely consistent between games, it almost always consists of a castle, a princess, and the Dark Land, where Bowser and the Koopas plan their schemes. It's much more than that though, as we've seen the universe expand to outer space, haunted mansions, and water-based locations, just to name a few. While video games have provided us with an endless amount of variety throughout the years, it's still pretty obvious when you're looking at a picture of the Mushroom Kingdom. Number 2, Azeroth, Warcraft series.
Azeroth! Azeroth and the Alliance!
Azeroth is quite literally the World of Warcraft represented in said game. The Warcraft franchise is now made up not only of video games, but also novels, comic books, and a feature film adaptation to flesh out the dense but relatively rewarding lore.
She begs for you to free her child.
But I need him. I need all of them.
Consisting of 4 continents, it's home to a huge amount of races which make up the Alliance and the Horde. Having been visited by millions of players over the years and still counting, Azeroth continues to expand as more and more people explore the iconic universe. In fact, the world is so popular that even the boys from South Park had to take an extended visit.
In the outside world, I am a simple geologist. But in here, I am Falcorn, defender of the Alliance.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Tell me you heard that.
There!
It's on the move!
After it!
Thousands of doors. Opening all at once.
Number 1, Hyrule, the Legend of Zelda series. Many of the previous entries have dense mythology, but only in Hyrule does the player play through various cycles in the world's history. By working the lore into the series, which spans hundreds of years and even across multiple timelines, you can count on the series to have beautifully realized environments filled with a plethora of races and creatures.
Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight.
The different timelines allow for a huge variety of tonal and aesthetic differences for the various iterations of Link and Zelda to adapt to. And with the recent release of Breath of the Wild, it's clear that even after 3 decades, it's still developing and expanding. So, we're excited to see where Hyrule goes next. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.